points for St. Pauli Rollerderby. Glitter number 66, Glitter Shitter, back from the penalty box means that both teams will start at full capacity here. We've got number 85 in white, Anna Masiba, going up against Cheeky for St. Pauli Rollerderby. Running up the outside line is Cheeky, earning lead jammer status. Cheeky with some very aggressive lateral movement, fighting through all four Bear City blockers, earning 4 points for St. Pauli Rollerderby. A very nice star pass to Pavio Curto means that the Bear City is now in scoring position. Cheeky getting a signal from her bench and now she's running it long. Big contact on the Bear City blockers. And a multiplayer block issued to the Bear City pack. That's what happens when one skater holds on to another skater in a way that creates an impenetrable object. A team timeout being called by, I believe, Bear City. And when you get so many double-digit jams against you in a row, it's a good time to make sure that your team is executing the plays that you have practiced. Good time to put in a road bump for the other team. But it's also a good time for folks here to check out the merch up here on the top level. We've got tons of Bear City merch, things for you to check out, including some items that are on sale. So don't be afraid to get your looky loo eyeballs out and go and have a look. Hello stream. And we're back to the action here. No more water break for the Zebra pack. We're getting all skaters back on track for another jam. Bear City will be starting at a disadvantage. They have one blocker serving a penalty. Banished, one might say, to the penalty box. St. Pauli insisting on that front start off the jam starts. Despite having a pack advantage, it works out for them. Number 99, Farish, earning lead jammer status for St. Pauli Rollerderby, but the Razor is out. Both jammers now in scoring position. Little bit of a tumble there at the end of that jam. No penalties called, however. But during the course of that play, it looks like St. Pauli did earn a penalty of their own. Both packs now starting with 3 blockers. Cheeky, I believe. No, Randalena taking the track for St. Pauli. Going up against Ruthless for Bear City. So far in this game, we're seeing mostly defensive penalties, a fairly low penalty game as it stands right now. Multiplayers and directions are going to be the penalties we are seeing so far, which tells you that you're trying to get a really slow defense. They're doing their best. They're literally holding on to each other to try to be even slower. I'm on mic on the other mic. announcement. Someone with a silver Renault car, a silver Renault car, you left your door open. So if you want to go close that, you can do that. Both teams here now 3-on-3. Ruthless hitting that tripod, but that tripod being led by Zoff very fiercely, giving some trouble, but Ruthless still earns lead jammer status. Ron Delana, not your lead jammer. Ruthless looking to maximize points. A little bit of confusion in the call-off. Not the first time we've seen it this game from specifically the Ruthless jams. But this is a big advantage in this next jam for Bear City. They are down, let's not forget, 25 points. That is like 6 passes. That's a lot of points. Looks like we're getting an official timeout to clear up some of these problemos we're seeing here. But if you turn your attention to the penalty box, you're going to see a full house for St. Pauli. Scarotina skating unopposed, earning lead jammer status for Bear City. The question here is, can Bear City maximize this jam before St. Pauli gets their blockers back and their jammer? Four big points for Scarotina. Ron Delana back and out on their initial pass. Scarotina fighting for every last point, calling it off. 4 more points for Scarotina. Bear City able to convert that power start into 8 points. Now trailing 22 while St. Pauli holds a very firm lead at 39 points. Both teams back to full capacity here. Anna Mosiba in white for Bear City. Luna in black for St. Pauli Rollerderby. Big inside line from Luna. Not enough getting the business from Pavio Curto. Tried the outside, getting caught up by Tabs and Katusha. Jammer status there for Luna. Big contact from Luna, getting run back by Tabs. 2 points for Luna, unanswered points on behalf of Bear City. Bear City with a slight pack advantage here. St. Pauli keeping their distance at the start as we've become used to seeing. There they go, getting closer to the Bear City pack. The Razor fighting up the outside, making contact with that fierce tripod. Cheeky out for lead jammer. The Razor is also out. Now you got both jammers in scoring position. A beautiful little spin move. From who? To whom? And in that moment, in the call-off, you get a back block penalty. The second jammer penalty for St. Pauli Rollerderby in this first quarter-ish of the game. Bear City has a big opportunity to secure lead jammer status here and put up some more points to close this gap. Big contact there at the center of the pack. Ruthless looking for some offense, getting it on the outside line. Pavia Curtis, the last little bit of offense. Lead jammer for Ruthless. Save Pauli Rollerderby back up to full blocker capacity, looking to give as much time as possible. Ruthless with the spin move, 4 points. Two in the back, 2 in the front. St. Pauli looking to recycle up, give some more defense to Ruthless with a nice little hop, skip, and a jump up the apex. 4 more points for Ruthless. Now we've got our jammer back, we've got Cheeky back, star in her hand. She's on her initial pass, but we're losing the St. Pauli blocker to the box. A nice run back from Katusha, but it wasn't enough. No cut call there. Cheeky out in scoring position. A big call off from Ruthless. 4 more points, and the gap is tightening. And we have a beautiful palindrome score. 34 for Bear City, 43 for St. Pauli. St. Pauli going to be starting this jam with 1 blocker in the box. Some kind of official timeout happening. The outside pack refs making a discussion, heading over to the St. Pauli bench. Who will be banished? It was the cut penalty on Cheeky. St. Pauli going to be starting with another power jam against them. We saw the drama over here in turn 2. We saw Katusha gesture at the referees. We thought those pleas went unanswered, but upon ref conversations, we're getting a track cut penalty on the St. Pauli jammer. Bear City now skating unopposed in the jammer department. Scaratina hitting the pack, looking for some offense from her blockers. But we've got some fierce counter hits from St. Pauli. Big business at the front of the pack from 613. But it's not enough. Scaratina is lead jammer. Both packs kind of skating along here, looking for some decisive action as Scaratina is back in the pack. Looking to put up some points. So Scaratina's put up 4 points. She's looking to put up some more. Cheeky on her initial pass. Meeting 4 Bear City blockers in the back, but she's getting some offensive help from 403 Tolkien. Another jammer penalty issue to Cheeky. This time it looks like a back block penalty. Scaratina coming through with speed. In, and she's out, and she's in again. And a big call off there. Lots of work being done by Scaratina. 12 points. Bear City taking the lead. Looks like we're getting an official review from St. Pauli. An official review is where a representative from each team can basically complain and try to get a call reversed or a non-call turned into a call. So say you saw something that the refs didn't see, you can say, hey, that player should have gotten a penalty and here's why. Or you can say, hey, I think that penalty shouldn't have happened and here's why. So that's what is happening right now. Both teams are making their cases. What was the penalty? This is a stream exclusive. We're trying to figure out what the penalty official review is. We have a person on the inside talking to the A manager from St. Pauli. What's up, Mitch? So St. Pauli here is requesting a cut penalty on a Bear City jammer. It appears that from the St. Pauli point of view, the white jammer cut one of their own players, but the referees are discussing. Looks like the call on the track will stand, and that means St. Pauli is going to lose their official review for this half, if I understand the circumstances correctly. But in a tight game like this, you can't take these official reviews with you. You got to play them while you got them. The Razor is skating unopposed against 4 St. Pauli blockers. The Razor fighting through that front side pass. St. Pauli losing a blocker to the box. The Razor now in scoring position. And we've got Cheeky back in the penalty box. Big contact on the inside line. Bouncing on one foot. Cheeky out and now in scoring position. The Razor, though, back in the pack. Looking to maximize those points. A call off. A cut track penalty being issued to someone. It looks like the penalties are really stacking up in one direction. Bear City with only 2 penalties so far this game, and St. Pauli with 9 penalties so far in the first half. And Masiba in white for Bear City battling against 2 blockers from St. Pauli. And they're really giving it to her at the front of the pack here, stretching out the pack boundaries. Another penalty being issued to St. Pauli. Anna Masiba being held by 1. And she's out, earning lead jammer status for Bear City. Serge on the track for St. Pauli, also out. Both jammers now in a position to score, but it's Anna who's back in the pack, looking for some offensive help. Big clear on the inside line. 4 points for Bear City. If you're on this. All right, back to the track here. St. Pauli on their 10th penalty now. 3 blockers against Ruthless. Big contact at the front of the pack. No pack called in the back of the pack. Magdalena though still stuck and held by that Bear City tripod. Ruthless out with lead jammer status. Now in scoring position. Excellent reforming from St. Pauli means all 4 blockers are back at the front of the pack, really ready to try to hold up Ruthless. Big offense from Tabs. And a skippity-doo up the inside for Ruthless. 4 hard-won points. And a star pass to the pivot for St. Pauli. We have a new jammer, Tolkien, for St. Pauli. Big contact. Ruthless met by Zoff, holding Bear City to just 3 points on that pass. It's going to be St. Pauli starting this jam with a blocker advantage, as Bear City has 1 player in the sin bin. But we're seeing St. Pauli stick to this front start no matter what. holding down the last lines of defense here. Scarotina for Bear City going up against Luna for St. Pauli, and it was that little spin move that got Luna lead jammer status. She's now in position to score. Already back and in scoring position. Luna's fighting against two blockers from Bear City. Another multiplayer block being issued to St. Pauli, but Luna is able to put up 4 points. Bambi getting the star pass, number 21 for Bear City. Both jammers now out and able to score points. A very well-timed call-off from St. Pauli means a 4-0 jam, bringing that a 4-0 pass, bringing that to an 8-0 jam. The score is 61-51 in favor of Bear City. St. Pauli with one blocker starting off this jam in the box. The Razor in white for Bear City. Cheeky, number 68 for St. Pauli. Big contact at the back of the pack, but it's the Razor who's lead jammer for Bear City. Cheeky really giving it everything they've got, falling to the ground up again so fast, challenging these white Bear City walls. 4 points for Bear City, but Cheeky is out on their initial pass. Both jammers now with the ability to score. A one-footed call-off from the Razor. No points for Cheeky as the refs deliberate about points for the Razor. Looks like 2 points for the Razor on that pass. Oh my God, so many penalties. In white for Bear City, going up against Fitch for St. Pauli. Very big contact at the back of the pack, but Fitch is fighting through. Nice recycling from Bear City, holding up Fitch at the front. Minnesota knocks at the front, but Fitch then Bickles got the star pass from the Bear City jammer, making them Bickle the new jammer. But we're seeing some blocker penalties stacking up here. Both teams having one blocker in the box right now. A very clear call from the St. Pauli bench, giving the signal to the St. Pauli jammer that it's time to shut this down. 3 points, no points for Bear City, 3 points for St. Pauli. We're seeing a timeout being called here with 4 minutes left on the clock. Let's talk about some penalties, folks. We've got 4 penalties being issued to Bear City so far this game, compared to a whopping 15 penalties to St. Pauli Rollerderby. By far the most popular penalty received by St. Pauli is going to be multiplayer blocks. That's where you're holding on to another player in a way that creates an impenetrable object. Something impenetrable. So we've seen 5 of those so far, and then some back blocks. Lots of blocker penalties so far. Not to jinx it, but it doesn't look like we've had any jammer penalties on Bear City, and I believe there's been 2 jammer penalties, 3 jammer penalties for St. Pauli so far this game. Officials are returning to their positions on track. We're about to get started with these last few jams before halftime. Ron Delana taking a star for St. Pauli, going up against Ruthless for Bear City. Ron Delana stuck on the back of that white tripod, taps, doing a lot of work there for Bear from Ruthless. 3 points for Bear City, no points for St. Pauli. Both teams almost back to full capacity here. Scarotina taking the star for Bear City, going up against Luna for St. Pauli Rollerderby. 4 passes separating these teams at the moment. Not a comfortable lead at all for Bear City as we go into the half. Scarotina fighting against Soft 1-0 at the front. Beautiful spin move from Luna, but they've got non-lead status because it's Mara who made it out first. It's a foot race back to the back. Both teams scrapping for position. Scara says, I've had enough of this, and calls it off. Both teams back to full capacity here. 4 blockers apiece, both able to field the jammer as well. What a treat. The Razor taking a star for Bear City, going against Cheeky for St. Pauli Rollerderby. Cheeky looking to take the path that Razor's taking, but then DVA stuck in the back. Razor also stuck in the back. Both teams doing a really good job. Cheeky has lead jammer. Razor also following the race through. Cheeky already back and looking to score. Calling it off from the outside. The officials discussing points. All 4 points for Cheeky. Ruthless up the inside line, getting met with the half of that little tripod there from St. Pauli. Really fierce work. Both jammers getting recycled back. Both teams looking to reform as quick as possible. Bambi and Nasty at the front of the pack. At the back of the pack, Ruthless looking to power through that tripod. Amazing defense from both teams here as they look to hold their positions. But it's Fitch earning lead jammer status. Oh my god, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Ruthless stuck on 3 St. Pauli blockers. Challenging some of those links, lateral movement on point, but it's not enough. 1-6-1 Hamburger Berg with a run back there. A call off from Ferch. All that work for 2 points. And we are now in intermission, folks. We're going to see you back here in 14 minutes. And we're seeing the price of those penalties here as we head into the second half. Both teams with a blocker in the box. And your eyes are not deceiving you. The teams have switched benches. We now see Bear City in white to the right and St. Pauli in black to the left. Ruthless in white with the star, Rondalena in black with the star for St. Pauli. A nice little mini jump there from Ruthless earns them lead jammer status. We're seeing a 4-hour penalty issued to Minnesota Nasty on Bear City, leaving a micro pack for Bear City Rollerderby. Ruthless Ruthless getting the call from their bench. 4 points for Bear City, no points for St. Pauli, but Minnesota Nasty is going to be serving some time in the sin bin, giving St. Pauli a moment of advantage here going into the second jam of the second half. Rudy for St. Pauli. Luna is able to get out lead. Scaratina hot on their heels. Playing the defensive jammer game. Luna calls it off, a 0-0 jam for Bear City and St. Pauli. Both teams 0-0. The Razor going up against Cheeky. We're getting some really fast jams here. Minnesota Nasty still serving that same penalty because of the quick jam turnover we're seeing. Nice little hit out on the outside from Cheeky to Razor. These both jammers are delayed a moment. Big contact from Glitter. Cheeky's out though. Lead jammer status for St. Pauli. Cheeky with a super powerful shoulder move and juke at the same time, giving them an added advantage in that fight against the white pack there. Powering through on the outside, 4 points for St. Pauli. The star is in hand for Razor, but they're out of their own accord. Cheeky calling it off ever so daintily. 8 unanswered points for St. Pauli, bringing them to 68 points to Bear City's 74. Both teams back to full capacity here. Ruthless out on the outside, Rondalena fetched out on the inside. It's a foot race between these two jammers. Turning our attention to the pack though, both sets of blockers are fighting for position. Ruthless calling it off, not wanting to risk the St. Pauli jammer earning any points as the Bear City blockers were in the back of the pack, making them the most vulnerable targets for being scored against. A nice double offense from Bear City, getting their jammer Scaratina out. But Rondalena is also out, about a third of a track length away. Can Scaratina maximize these points? 4 unanswered points from Bear City. And a reminder. Also, I'm so sorry, I'm coughing all the time. Really trying not to, but if you have both teams back to full capacity here. The Razor fighting through 4 St. Pauli blockers at the front of the pack. Luna spinning on the outside, getting run back by that white pack. Bear City sending some offense in the form of Rookie Horror. Is it enough to get the Razor out? Excellent recycling from St. Pauli. Three blockers now holding back the Razor. The Razor looking for assistance, not getting any. Nice little inside move. A lot of really tight blocking. What direction is hard to see from up here. Nice offense and defensive switch from Rookie Horror. Luna not hit out. Over a minute to earn lead jammer status, but well fought. Luna now in scoring position despite being in the back of the pack just a few seconds ago. Luna back at scoring points, being met with some Bear City blockers, getting some offensive help. How many points did Luna score? 3 points for St. Pauli. Are at full capacity here. I have to say, I love this casual start from St. Pauli at the beginning. They're just standing up there. Are they going to go back? And there they go. Bear City at the back of the pack here. Ruthless playing some jammer on Cheeky. Cheeky with that big shoulder juke. Powerful strides on the back there. Ruthless is out first and in scoring position, but having had a no pass, no penalty on one of the other blockers. Will not be lead jammer. Cheeky getting out, but star in hand. We have no lead jammer for this jam. We are going to be going the full 2 minutes. Some miscommunications on the bench too. Bear City jammer there. Roofy trying to call it off, not getting a reaction from the refs because there is no lead. Nice hold on the outside line from Bear City. Big contact on the inside line to Bam Bickle, sending her to the sin bin. Roofy passing but star in hand. How many points was that? It turns out it was all 4 points. Cheeky through for 4 more points. St. Pauli leading here in terms of the point score. 8 points for Ruthless. Cheeky back for another scoring pass. Nice juke there. But a bit of an elevator door, keeping Cheeky inbounds. 4 more points for St. Pauli. Getting hit around like a wrecking ball. Ruthless through for 4 more points. St. Pauli leading by 1 pass. Cheeky looking to score again. In a tight game like this. Ooh, St. Pauli taking the lead here. The referees are discussing St. Pauli briefly taking the lead in that jam, but it looks like Bear City was able to eke out 1 additional point, meaning it's 92 to 91 in favor of Bear City. An incredibly tight game. This is really where you're going to see the mental aptitude of these teams come into play. Let's not forget, at the beginning of this half, St. Pauli down by about, I think it was 15 or 16 points. They clearly changed some things up in the locker room. They've tightened up their game. They've come back big unanswered points in many, many jams. If you can nip away at that mountain of the challenge ahead of you, you're going to be able to come back a bit. Bear City, on the other hand, we saw that jammer bench communication not happening. Ruthless standing on track, trying to call it off, but not having lead jammer status. That's probably what cost them at least one of those passes over the course of that jam. And in a game like this, every pass counts. But turning our attention back to the track, we've got Fairtish taking the star for St. Pauli Rollerderby, going up against Scarotina for Bear City Rollerderby. Both teams at full capacity. Fairtish is out, lead jammer status, Scaro after them. it's a tie game, 92-92. For St. Pauli Rollerderby, Escalade for Bear City. Rondolena up to the inside line. Very easy lead jammer status there thanks to some well-timed offense. Rondolena a little bit stuck, trying to put up those 4 points, calling it. All 4 points earned there by Rondolena. St. Pauli Rollerderby here taking back their lead. We've not seen that for I think about 20 minutes or so, but this is a really crucial time for you to start to edge out as we go into the final 20 minutes of this game. Luna taking the star for St. Pauli Rollerderby, Ruthless for Bear City. Powering up the outside line is Luna, being met by a very agile, mobile Bear City wall, but it's not enough. Luna earning lead jammer status for St. Pauli. Ruthless out, not lead jammer status. Luna back in the pack. Already making contact. St. Pauli Rollerderby losing 1 blocker to the penalty box. Looks like a back block penalty called to me. It's going to be Bear City starting this jam with a blocker advantage. Cheeky taking the star for St. Pauli, going up against the Razor for Bear City. Both jammers taking the outside line there. The Razor fighting against Goff. Razor in the lead jammer status. A big star pass there to Zoff, the pivot. Points for Bear City. They're still in this game, still putting up points, looking to keep it jam for jam with St. Pauli. And it's going to be St. Pauli starting with the blocker advantage this time around. Pavio Curto serving a penalty in the penalty box. Seeing some jammer on jammer mind games here before the whistle. Scarotina pushing against this tripod of black in the back. Bear City doing their best to hold Fairtish at the front of the pack. Both jammers right now just really doing their best, powering through these really powerful tripods. Every inch taking so much effort. Scaro looking to get some offensive help from Pavio Curto, but it's not quite enough. Further efforts, Pavio Curto sent to the box yet again. A very hard-fought lead jammer status for Fairtish. Already back on the pack and looking to score. Fairtish is in the pack, picking up a point for every white blocker they pass. Scarotina, meanwhile, still stuck on their initial pass. Very big hit there. But I believe Barbie Salish. Yes. Pauli here staying remarkably clean, remarkably slow, holding that Bear City jammer at the start pass of Javier Porto, fresh from the box. Puts a bit of a threat against the scoring potential for St. Pauli. They call it off. 4 more points, or is that 4 total? A very hard-fought 4-0 jam there for St. Pauli, extending their lead to 104 against Bear City's 96 points. Both teams here at full blocker capacity. Rondalena against Ruthless. Beautiful inside line. Rondalena already scoring points. Ruthless stuck in the pack on their initial pass. Rondalena looking to get some offensive help from Rough Rudy. A lot happening at the front of the pack here. Not enough. Rondalena, 4 points, taking a well-earned deep breath before going back for more. Ruthless out on their initial pass. Now a threat in terms of scoring. Rondalena calling it off. 8 unanswered points for St. Pauli Roller Derby. Now we've been talking a lot about penalties so far this game. In the second half, I think we've had 2 penalties from St. Pauli in total. That feels wrong, but that's what the numbers are telling me. Going up against Bear City that's had 5 penalties. We're seeing that in terms of the score right here. A lot more scoring opportunities for St. Pauli, and they're taking full advantage of the situation. Turning our attention to the pack, we've got Luna taking the star for St. Pauli, going up against Escalade for Bear City. Both of those skaters jamming their little hearts out. Luna at the front of the pack with a spin move from the out to the in. A hop, skip, and a jump. Miraculous lead jammer status for Luna. Escalade also out. Both jammers now in a position to score, but it's Luna who's scoring. 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. Looking to the bench for some instruction. We're now in time management territory. 4 unanswered points for St. Pauli Roller Derby. St. Pauli has now been able to extend their lead to 20 points. Scarotina taking the star for Bear City, going up against Cheeky for St. Pauli. Scarotina on the inside and the outside, tippy toe and around. Cheeky powering through the middle, meeting some resistance from Rookie Horse, spinning around and around and around, and lead jammer status. Scarotina fighting through that St. Pauli tripod. Now it's just number 69, Zoff at the front, last line of defense, swings the butt, misses. Scarotina is out. Not lead jammer status, it's Cheeky with the lead jammer status, picking up all 4 points and calling it off. We're now seeing a little bit of action at the penalty box. 1 blocker apiece. For each of these teams, we'll be seeing a bit of a reduced pack as we head into this next jam. Both jammers slow off the start. Fairtish up the inside, being held by the Bear City tripod. Looking to make some action on the outside and then back to the middle. Ruthless being held back ruthlessly, one might say. Trying to hop. no pass, no penalties, even though Ruthless is out there, not your lead jammer. Lead is still open. No, it's not. Four points for Ruthless. A star pass to Zoff, the pivot for St. Pauli. 4 points for both jammers. Again, there is no lead jammer. We will be going the full 2 minutes. Zoff, the pivot term jammer, pushing against that white tripod. Roofy trying to get some offensive assistance up the outside. 4 more points. In a 2-minute game like this, it's a mental endurance. Can you switch from offense to defense? Can you go pass for pass? On 1 foot at the outside, Zoff is still in. Whoa. Not a back block. I think Nasty spun into that. Pass for pass. Bear City chipping away at this lead, but it's Zoff who's back in and scoring. A big straightaway attempted apex jump. It's not enough. 4 points on that pass. 0 points on that pass for Ruthless. 4 points for Zoff. Still a 20-point game at this point. 8.5 minutes left on the clock. A team timeout here called by St. Pauli Rollerderby. I believe they're only skating with 12 skaters today, so a long jam like that definitely going to take it out of you. An impressive showing so far, the #1 in the Bundesliga, looking to maintain that position with a victory today. Bear City, definitely the underdogs going into this game. Hello, stream. Hello. It's me. I'm alone. I'm doing my best. You can ask me questions. I'll talk back to you. I have nothing else to do. And if you can guess my costume, I'll be really thrilled. All right, we're getting some jammer switch-ups from both teams. We saw Escalade swapped for Scaratina, but the jammer switch-up from St. Pauli is sadder. It looks like Fairtish is being sent to the box on that one. I'm going to guess that's what that official timeout was all about. So 8.5 minutes left on the clock. Bear City down by 20 points. You could, in theory, in a power jam, probably get about 12 points. 3 passes is like a very good power jam. So this is a very excellent chance for Bear City to close that gap if they can capitalize. Big contact on Scarotina, but it's not enough. Very quick lead jammer status for Scarotina. But St. Pauli's back to full blocking capacity. They're going to look to make this as difficult as possible and buy some time for their jammer to get out of the box. Amazing recycling from St. Pauli. Water falling on Scarotina, making Scarotina consistently fight against multiple blockers. Four points for Scarotina. Big star pass there to the pivot, 180 Zoff. Zooming right through all the way to the front of the pack, but not quite passing every single blocker. 3 points for Scarotina on that pass, bringing that power jam to 7 points. 13 points separating these teams, 7.5 minutes left on regular play time. The box is clear now. Both teams still have some time stoppages left if they need to take advantage of that in the final minutes of this game. Rondalena for St. Pauli Rollerderby, Escalade for Bear City. Rondalena challenging the outside there. Escalade stuck on one St. Pauli blocker that's embedded themselves in that Bear City wall. A little bit of a hit out on Escalade. And it was actually a direction penalty on the St. Pauli jammer, an unusual blockers to style penalty on the jammer, meaning Escalade skating unopposed, another power jam for Bear City. Can they capitalize? The question here is going to be, do they notice? Will the star get taken off? Because that's always not ideal. Oh, she reached for it. Stream, she reached for it. But she didn't do it. One last hit for good measure, but Escalade earns lead jammer status. What an excellent hold from St. Pauli Rollerderby. Even though Escalade earned lead jammer status, they were able to burn that whole power jam, and it's only now that Escalade is scoring points. Rondalena is out on their initial pass. That means any people they pass from now on will be points. Escalade working hard for that jam. 4 points, bringing the score 127 to 136 in favor of St. Pauli Rollerderby. St. Pauli Rollerderby. Less than 10 points separating these two teams. And what a treat. Both teams at full capacity. 4 blockers apiece and a jammer each. Ruthless for Bear City Rollerderby going up against Luna for St. Pauli. Ruthless hitting the deck, back up, hitting those 4 blockers. Pavio Curto to the box for Bear City. Ruthless earning lead jammer status, but Luna is out, trailing by just 30 feet. Both of these jammers powerful, fast, looking to get some points. Bear City in the back, looking to catch. A nice little spin move from Luna at the back of the pack there. So even though Bear City put up 4 points, Luna was able to catch 3. 8-point game here in favor of St. Pauli. Bear City with 4.5 minutes left-ish on the clock is using their official review. Now, as someone who has done this job, gone in and talked to the refs, generally you're trying to save an official review to get an opposing jammer in the box or an expulsion on a skater that you find particularly effective. I'm going to guess that they're trying to get that jammer on a penalty because at this point, we've seen how these power jams have gone. 7, 10 points, that's what you're going to be looking for from a power jam, and that's the game here, right, folks? And so that could really set up the razor for a really crucial jam here in the final 5 minutes of the game. But if you're hanging on to the edge of your seat, a little bit of an inside tip, if you're really fast peer, now might be a good time to go to the bathroom as the refs confer. But you've got like maybe 2 minutes before we come back to the action. Dear stream, nobody wants to come talk to us and tell us what the penalty is. They're talking amongst themselves. They don't want to talk to us. We're going to guess it was a jammer situation of some kind. We have a stream bear trying to get somebody's attention to come talk to us. We'll see if it happens. Who's to say? But again, if you have any questions, we're going to do our best to answer them for you. I still think it's a jammer penalty, because why else would you call it at this point? On the jammer? No call? Okay. So that was an attempted, Bear City was basically trying to get a high block call issued on a St. Pauli jammer, but the no call stands. The refs did not see anything that warranted a penalty. Bear City loses their official review for the rest of the half. Two blockers in the box for Bear City means Cheeky is out and lead. Ruthless not far behind them. Both jammers now in a position to score. Javier Curto out from the penalty box, looking to get into defensive position. A very fast entry from Cheeky means that St. Pauli gets 2 more points, 1-4-1, going up against 1-3-1 for Bear City. 10 points separating these teams. 1 blocker in the box for Bear City. Fairtish for St. Pauli with the star. Scarotina for Bear City with the star. Nice double layer defense there. Means Fairtish has to run it back. Scarotina also forced to run it back by the St. Pauli Rollerderby tripod, but Scarotina out on the outside line, and he leaves jammer status. Turning our attention back to the back. Fairtish, star in hand, met with Bambi and the entire Bear City pack, recycling to the front. Minnesota Nasty bridging out the pack there, giving an extra opportunity for Bambi and Glitter to maybe do some damage. Fairtish is out. Now in scoring position. Bear City not able to execute any switch there, but 3 points earned by Scarotina, making this a 7-point game. Three minutes left on the clock. I would guesstimate somewhere between 2 and 4 jams left. Both teams playing their hearts out, and both teams back to full capacity on this track. We've got the Razor going up against Rondalena. Rondalena really able to run that pack up, earning lead jammer status. The Razor stuck on the outside. The Razor stuck in the front of the pack, and they're out. Rondalena meeting many butts at the back. Big rookie horror contact the inside line. But Rondalena fighting in that pack for quite a long time and able to pick up all 4 points along the way. 11 points separating these two teams. Lead jammer and time management is going to be the name of victory here for either of these teams. You need lead jammer status that you can control the clock. For St. Pauli, Ruthless for Bear City. A big run back there by Bear City on Luna. Ruthless also run back. Both jammers having to start from scratch, fight their way back through the packs. Roofy out and then in. Earning lead jammer status. But Luna is also out. Miscommunication from the bench there from Bear City to the jammers, calling it off. Despite lead, no points for either team. Scarutina for Bear City going up against Cheeky for St. Pauli. Very likely the last jam here, people. Bear City with just 3 blockers, laying on some defense here. Cheeky earning lead jammer status, in control of the clock. Fabio Curto taking the start for Bear City, but Cheeky's already in scoring position, re-entering the pack here at turn 3, passing, all 4 points. 4 more points for St. Pauli Rollerderby, bringing our unofficial score 149 for St. Pauli, taking down the home team 134 Bear City. Number 1 in the Bundesliga, able to maintain that ranking. And that score is final. Folks, you are invited to take the stairs, head down to the track for high fives. Please come high five the skaters. You can take the stairs down either side of the venue. A big congratulations to both teams. If you want to high five your favorite team, head downstairs, head to the track and give them a high five. Next game is at 5 p.m. We'll see you then.